You guys probably noticed earlier today, if you live in the United States, that you got a little bit of a notice on your phone. For some people, this was a very loud warning. For other people like me who had all their sounds muted, it was just their phone kind of vibrating for a few minutes until you turned it off. Now, me personally, I was in the bathroom just kind of looking on Twitter, you know, trying to figure out what 25% of 15,000 was going to be or whatever else. So it wasn't too crazy of a thing for me, you know, it was just like, this is a test warning. Go ahead and press the OK button and you're completely fine. But of course, something that always comes that is unexpected is the fact that the notice was supposed to happen at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Time and instead started happening around 2:17 to 2:18 p.m. Eastern Time, which was a little bit earlier than intended, causing some people to actually get scared when it went down. You know, of course you're going to be, because you're prepared for a certain time, so you're not prepared for it to unexpectedly happen a few moments earlier. Now, of course, there's been some conspiracies going on, you know, some crazy things happening, I've noticed. Some people saying, why is it that they only test this every few years? Why is it that if this has been around for so long, you guys, if you remember the whole entire Hawaii situation from a while ago, it was the exact same alert system. Why has it only been here and tested 3 times? When they've been around for, I think it's like 10 years or something like that. A lot of conspiracies talking about what if they're preparing for an emergency, and even some other people saying some ridiculous stuff such as, hey guys, what if the warning's going to have a sound wave that's going to turn us into some 5G zombies, guys? What's going on? Oh no, are we going to have a zombie apocalypse? You know, some crazy things and some conspiracies that, you know, maybe some of them have some little bits of knowledge or whatever else that might relate to stuff that could happen in the future, but in terms of the main generalized part, they don't always have, you know, a lot of basis to it. It's just something to keep people who are always theorizing and wishing that, you know, that there's some hidden motive behind everything, and keep their minds going to think, oh, there's a hidden motive behind this test. This test is actually them preparing for a nuclear war against insert other company or a country or whatever here. You know, they could be doing all that type of stuff. But legally, I really think that the whole entire situation is literally just because of them having to test this every single few years, right? Obviously, it doesn't happen every year because this is something that, you know, is still new. People still are kind of like freaked out about it whenever it happens because they forget about it by the time the next time it happens and everything else. But it still is something that we're kind of getting used to slowly over time, but still has people theorizing about it. And I'm not here to talk about, you know, the logistics behind everything happening here when it comes to the national alert system, right? I mean, and before, if you guys remember, you used to watch TV and everything else, and the alert would play on, like, play over the TV whenever you're watching your SpongeBob SquarePants or whatever else. So it's nothing too new. It's just that they're now doing it on mobile devices, and it's something that exists everywhere. I mean, if you guys ever want to get scared, go on YouTube, type in National Emergency Alert System, and then just type in a random place, because every single place you can look up probably has a different alert available for you, right? I mean, like, Japan has their own ones that actually pop up over the screen, play unique tones that you can't really hear that often. There's other ones such as, I can't even think of other places, but basically every single place you go to is going to have its own unique alert actually going down. But what I wanted to talk about in this video is how if these alerts just kind of go off without a notice ahead of time, you know, because of course this one I was prepared for. It wasn't something that was going to be like, oh my god, crazy or whatever. It can be something that can be very scary, because let me explain something to you. Growing up, when I was a wee little lad, when I was a young kid, I would watch all these videos about Bigfoot sightings. It's like, Bigfoot's here, oh my god, guys, look. And of course, you know, there'd be the fake ones where Bigfoot's like throwing up a middle finger to the camera or whatever else, or you know, some obnoxious stuff like that. But when I was younger, I would get scared that I'm going to go to sleep and Kool-Aid Man version of Bigfoot is just going to, oh yeah, out of my window or something, right? I was scared that I'm going to pass out and I'm going to wake up to a busted window, Bigfoot in my room, rummaging through everything and just kind of, you know, murdering me basically, right? And that was because of how often I would watch Bigfoot videos, because it was a mystery. It was a wonder that I always wanted to learn more about, but man, it is a scary wonder at the same time, where I'm like, yeah, I want to learn more about this, but at the same time, what if Bigfoot just comes and kills me? I mean, he's real, guys. Look, the YouTube videos talk about him all the time, and that leads me to the next point of the whole entire scare factor here. Of course, since this notice I was aware of didn't scare me, but if we get an unnoticed, you know, like a notice out of absolutely nowhere that wasn't planned or mentioned anywhere, I would say that it's definitely going to make me a lot more startled, because as we've seen before, there was the whole entire notice a while ago regarding Hawaii having like a missile nuke strike or whatever else, and it was an accidental warning. You know, the employee or whoever was working on the warning system that day just kind of slipped their finger, made a little bit of an oopsie, and posted a warning to everyone on Hawaii's phones being like, hey, there's a missile, it's hitting Hawaii, and this was kind of like, you know, real close to North Korea, so that's definitely one of the scarier parts of the whole entire thing. And they were like, hey guys, I'm just saying, you know, at this point, you just gotta cry yourself to sleep, because, you know, you're sending out a whole entire warning, causing mass hysteria of people thinking that their life's over, that they're going to die. And I remember at the time, there were people even mentioning that they were doing stuff that they never thought about doing for a long time, such as, you know, asking people out, or being like, hey, I've always had a crush on you, or announcing to their significant other they had cheated on them and stuff. And of course, since there wasn't actually ever a missile strike that happened in Hawaii, and it was just a false alarm, it caused, you know, some slight issues here and there for some people. But of course, I'm not talking about the actions that other people would take, I'm talking about the actions I would take. Because if a warning like this was to actually pop up out of nowhere, right? If an accidental warning, for example, was to show up on my phone unannounced, being like, hey, there's going to be a huge missile exploding in your backyard in 10 minutes, you're dead, I'm sorry, all you can do is really just cry yourself to sleep, or if you can even sleep at that point, and there's nothing else you can really do about it, right? If that was to pop up on my phone, I would panic. I would be like, well, you know what, it's been a good run, boys. I'm just going to be like, my heart's going to be pounding and everything. I'm not going to know what to do, because I won't be able to rationally think. And that is one of the things to really mention here, is that there's some of the YouTube videos out there who will stimulate these whole entire fake scenarios and stuff, right? There's YouTube videos out there that will sit there and be like, hey, this is a zombie apocalypse warning or whatever, and I would actually watch those from time to time, especially when I was younger. I haven't watched them in a few years, but when I was younger, I would go around and watch these little videos and see all the different scenarios and things that people can make up, and there are some crazy ones out there that would still make me feel a panic just by it happening, right? Even if it was from a YouTube video, even if I knew what I was getting myself into, it ended up becoming a thing where it was like afterwards, you know, you watch the video, you're fine or whatever, but as you're going to sleep or whatever, you're deep in thought and you're thinking, what if something like that does happen? What if a zombie apocalypse was to go wrong or something? What if I was asleep when an alarm went off, right? What if anything happened? It brings up all these what ifs in your mind, and it's one of the reasons why these type of systems actually get tested, is so that we don't have to worry too much about an alarm not going off, because they're doing, you know, a test every so often, allowing it so when there actually is an emergency, we're aware of it. We know, hey, there's an emergency going down here. You gotta make sure that you're in the clear, buddy. Make sure you're out of the blast radius, and it's just something that, you know, is scary to think about, but also, as long as you're prepared for it, it isn't as scary. I mean, you know, in a situation like this where you know specifically that it is a test, you can sit there and be like, haha, imagine all the people in school right now or at like the mall or playing a match or something, and they just hear this alert go off, right? Like, imagine if you're playing competitive in like Valorant, CSGO, or whatever else, or I guess CS2 now, I should say, and all of a know there, everyone's phone's just blaring in the middle of the match while you're trying to clutch up or something, while you're trying to defuse the bomb, the entire team, enemy team's alive, but your team's dead except for you. It could be a little bit of a funny situation to kind of run into, but when it comes to actual tests, when it comes to an official thing that releases and, you know, ends up being in a massive alert that needs to be read as soon as possible so you can get to safety and not die and get eviscerated from whatever world war might happen in the future, it is something that can be genuinely scary and makes you think irrationally. So if there's a situation like this where you're unprepared for anything, and even if you're like young me who would watch videos about Bigfoot or whatever and then get scared that Bigfoot's just gonna Kool-Aid man through the window at night while you're trying to sleep, it can definitely mess with your mind. And the reason why I don't look into stuff like Bigfoot or all this type of crazy nonsense like in the national, you know, emergency alert system and everything is because of the fact that I know that if I watch too many of those videos, I'm gonna lay in bed at night and I'm gonna be scared about what could potentially happen. I'm gonna be scared about what if my phone goes off and there's all of a sudden a zombie apocalypse out of nowhere. I know I love zombie games and everything, but at the same time, I don't want to live in a zombie game. I just want to enjoy the experience through the video games I play instead of actually having to prepare and board up my windows and everything to fight off an oncoming zombie horde, right? You know, it's like, it's a scary thing to really think about, and it's one of the things that really get your mind racing whenever it comes to these emergency alert systems, because it's like, what if an emergency alert system like this actually has to be used? And imagine if I'm recording a YouTube video or something, and then out of nowhere, in the middle of recording it, I get an alert on my phone, and it's like, hey, guess what? You're dead. You're dead. I'm sorry, that's it. It's like, maybe I'll have enough time to edit that video, upload it to YouTube, make it my final words or something, but it is scary to really just kind of think about when it comes to the whole entire grand scheme of things, and it is something that I would recommend that if you guys want to invest your, like, mind and time into it and see some scary things, you could just go on YouTube and look up these fake scenarios and stuff, not even just for the emergency alerts, but even anything, right? And you could pretty much kind of believe later at that night when you're thinking and deep in thought, hey, what if something like this was to actually end up up happening. But with that said, my name is FireMonkey. Hope champs and champions enjoyed today's YouTube video. If you did, consider subscribing to support the content I create, and I'll catch you guys next time with another upload. Peace out.